All rested up, are you, Pete? Had your little nap? That's good, my young man. Oh, we're going to have an exciting afternoon. Things are going to happen at 4 o'clock. Indeed, they will.
4 o'clock? What's going to happen at 4 o'clock?
What's going to happen, indeed?
You're traveling to another dimension. Your next stop, the Twilight Zone.
Strap on your tinfoil hats and check the time, because today on the Twilight Zone Review Marathon, we'll be discussing the episode 4 o'clock. And this is one of the more insane trips through the fifth dimension. As always, spoilers are ahead.
4 o'clock.
That's Oliver Crangle, a dealer in petulance and poison. He's rather arbitrarily chosen 4 o'clock as his personal Gotthardammerung. And we are about to watch the metamorphosis of a twisted fanatic, poisoned by the gangrene of prejudice, to the status of an avenging angel, upright and omniscient, dedicated and fearsome. Whatever your clocks say, it's 4 o'clock. And wherever you are, it happens to be the Twilight Zone.
4 o'clock was episode 29 from season 3. It was directed by Lamont Johnson and written by Rod Serling. The tale was adapted from Price Day's short story of the same name, which first appeared in the April 1958 issue of Alfred Hitchcock's Mystery Magazine. Up front, we meet one of the more vile characters in the series, Oliver Crangle, as played by Theodore Bikel. Crangle is a man who has nothing but hatred and scorn for most everyone. He's hell-bent on ridding the world of individuals he perceives as evil.
And look at them out there, the dregs carrying leeches, sucking us dry, carrying evil around with them like cold germs.
He spends his days isolated in his cramped apartment, meticulously keeping tabs on people and their supposed misdeeds. He then writes letters and makes phone calls to set fire to their lives.
You have a man working for you in personnel, a young man named Alfred Brewster. Man's a communist.
Clearly, Oliver Crangle is someone who is totally unhinged. He's fully dedicated to punishing complete strangers.
William J. Farwell teaches at your North End High School. I have it on good authority that his relationships with his students are questionable at best. He should be discharged immediately.
Now, this particular day is special. Apparently, Oliver is ready to take things up a notch. At exactly 4 o'clock, he somehow wants to rid the world of all evil people. And this bizarre proclamation is something that actually kept me hooked until the very end.
I'm not quite sure of the method yet, but that will come to me. It will come to me assuredly, and it will be a revelation.
The more this episode plays out, and we get to know Oliver Crangle, the more unpleasant things become. When his landlady visits, we can see his obsession isn't something he keeps under wraps. He's long past the point of pretending to be polite or civil to anyone.
What I do, Mrs. Williams, is none of your concern.
Well, I...
Have you any more pertinent remarks to throw out in the air?
Almost immediately, I found Oliver Crangle to be extremely unlikable. But he isn't someone we're meant to relate to. He's a deranged, self-appointed watchdog who targets people we're not even sure did anything wrong. In real life, this is the type of guy you'd avoid like the plague. Initially, we don't see any of his victims. However, when Crangle is visited by Mrs. Lucas, the wife of a doctor who he's been terrorizing, things get more personal.
Why, Mr. Crangle? Why are you trying to hurt him? What has he ever done to you?
This is a great scene that works really well. It puts a face on the suffering Crangle has caused. Here's a woman who has had her husband labeled a murderer by Crangle because he was unable to save one of his patients.
He was taking care of half a ward that night, and by the time he got to the woman, she was already dead.
You should have gotten to her earlier.
So if it wasn't already obvious, Oliver Crangle is a lost cause. He has zero sympathy for anyone he targets or their loved ones.
Bugs out there. Bacteria. That's what they are. That's what your husband is.
This is also an important scene because we learn exactly how Crangle plans to deal with all the so-called evil people. And it's a pretty twisted idea.
That's it! I'll turn all the evil people into little ones.
So, how does Oliver plan to shrink all of the evil people? Apparently, he's going to will it to happen.
They'll all be 2 feet tall.
Come in, come in. I'm Oliver Crangle. I'm the one who called.
Eventually, a third visitor, an FBI agent, shows up at Crangle's door. Crangle tells the agent that at 4 o'clock, law enforcement had better get ready to lock up all of the really small, evil people. As silly as that may seem, this is actually another strong scene, with the tension building as Crangle rattles on, and the agent calmly takes it all in, with the understanding that Crangle is obviously a delusional crackpot.
All the evil people in the world will become a third their present size.
I also love that throughout the episode, Pete the Parrot repeatedly asks for a nut to eat. This also works as dark humor because it can be interpreted as him calling Crangle a nut. Ultimately, the FBI agent suggests that Crangle seek mental help, and predictably, Crangle turns on him.
Of course you people have gotten into the FBI. Why, you've infiltrated every place.
It's telling that Crangle is unable to consider the possibility that he could be in the wrong, or that maybe he needs psychological help. But his stubbornness just underscores how detached he is from reality, and this is something that's made clear repeatedly. At one point, we see Crangle twisting Lincoln's Gettysburg Address to suit his own purposes.
All men are created equal.
And in the opening narration, it's noted that Crangle chose 4 o'clock as his personal Götterdämmerung, which is a German translation that refers to Ragnarok, the Norse myth which speaks of an apocalyptic battle of the gods. So we have these very big ideas coming from a very small man.
Judgment Day is upon us.
And with that, at 4 o'clock, we get a very fitting and memorable conclusion.
At 4 o'clock, an evil man made his bed and lay in it. A pot called a kettle black, a stone thrower broke the windows of his glass house. You look for this one under F for fanatic and J for justice in the Twilight Zone.
So there we have it, 4 o'clock. This one was a bit of a strange journey, but still worth a watch.
Calling these terrible people constantly late at night, waking them up, speaking my charges, and then hanging up. Very frustrating for them.
Yes, I'll bet.
I think the fact that so much of the story focuses on Crangle's cruel antics may be off-putting for some. But just like other Twilight Zones that focused on detestable characters, I found myself curious to see Crangle's inevitable comeuppance. And in that regard, this twist ending is perfect. On a related note, in the Twilight Zone radio version of this episode, Crangle actually suffers an even harsher fate. After he's shrunken down, his pet bird Petey proceeds to chase after him and eventually eats him alive.
No, Pete, no! Get away! Let me get out of here! I can't reach the door now. The locks! Let me out! No!
I have to credit Theodore Bikel for a distinct, villainous performance. Early on, he seems like a dangerously obsessed individual, and he maintains that vibe consistently. But as the show progresses, he also cranks up the unhinged antics. And that's where things get interesting.
Do you understand? Little people?
Bikel had an interesting career. He was a folk singer, a musician, and a political activist. When it came to acting, his career spanned decades.
As your fellow prisoner has already learned, the penalty for not answering this court is death.
He's best known for roles in films such as The African Queen, The Enemy Below, and The Defiant Ones. But as you all know, I'm a Trek fan, so I mainly know of him from Star Trek The Next Generation, where he played Worf's adoptive father. It's easy to see why Rod Serling was drawn to Price Day's short story. Rod Serling was passionate when it came to social issues, and 4 o'clock dives into subject matter that was right up his alley. As noted in Mark Scott Zickery's Twilight Zone Companion, in the era of the Red Scare, Rod Serling had already witnessed fellow writers, actors, and producers blacklisted for their politics, and that was something that weighed on him. In 4 o'clock, we see a like-minded, self-appointed watchdog who targets individuals in a similar way, intent on making them pariahs. So 4 o'clock stands as a sharp commentary on McCarthyism and the dangers of blanket judgments of others. 4 o'clock is a story we can also relate to our modern era. Much like Crangle, we still see examples on social media of people tearing each other apart over past transgressions. So this type of behavior hasn't stopped, it's just evolved with the times and technology.
I think you've developed some kind of obsession here. I think you need some help.
Help? I need help.
But this story also remains relevant in that Crangle is an example of someone with untreated psychological problems. On that note, mental health care also remains an ongoing issue in our society, with many people continuing to slip through the cracks and not receive the treatment they need. Anyway, I think that's about all the time I want to spend talking about Oliver Crangle. This is an episode that's probably not for everyone, but I thought it was a compelling story with an excellent lead performance. I'd rate 4 o'clock 3 out of 5 very clever parrots. Now, before I go, I wanted to give a shout out. If you're a lover of bizarre cinema, and I know I am, then check out Nyes Bizarre Cinema. Nye covers a ton of weird movies from all kinds of genres, especially horror. So head on over there and check out her channel when you can. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you've seen 4 o'clock and have any thoughts on the episode, feel free to comment below. If you enjoyed this review, remember, hit that sub button, hit that like button, and hit that notification bell so you'll be ready for our next visit to the 5th dimension. Until next time, take care, be well, later.